Is there no political risk for telling things that are demonstrably untrue about your opponent? The charge that Senator Obama authored 2 memoirs but not a single major law or reform? Lying. Senator Obama wants to raise your taxes unless you happen to be a corporation or the richest 1% of all Americans? Lying. Senator Obama has never worked with Republicans on bipartisan legislation? Lying. Senator McCain repeating that particular lie on the stump today in Wisconsin.
I've worked across the aisle again and again. I've reached out my hand to those on the other side of the aisle to work for a common good. Senator Obama never has.
I repeat, lying.
This reminds me a lot of the swift boating of John Kerry 4 years ago, where they just kept piling on and piling on with statements, many of them unsubstantiated. And then it takes on the appearance and the feel of truth, even if it's false.
I went to the United States Naval Academy from 1957 to 1961, graduated in the top quarter of my class. McCain arrived in October of 1967, and so I was there 2.5 years before he was. Well, most of my experience with him was living across the hall from him, and he was well known by his own classmates and everybody that knew him as a very volatile guy, and he would blow up and go off like a Roman candle at any possible time. He was very sensitive and touchy and just easy to anger. John McCain is not somebody that I would like to see with his finger near the red button. John McCain's temperament makes it clear that he's not cut out to be President of the United States. It has been very disappointing to watch him pander to his various political bases and change his stances on things. For example, even his stance on religion. I knew him many years ago, and John was very apathetic about religion.
But I've always prayed, frankly, in prison. I would tell my friends, not that we'd get out of prison, but whether it would be God's will for us to get out of prison, because we were doing Caesar's work.
He said this on the radio.
There are neighborhoods in Baghdad where you and I could walk through those neighborhoods.
You said there are areas in Baghdad that you can walk around freely.
Yeah, I just came from one.
Pardon me?
I just came from one.
But backing up that stroll through the market was 10 armored Humvees, soldiers with rifles, and 2 Apache attack helicopters circling overhead.
Earlier this week, you called Pat Robertson and other leaders of the Christian conservative movement agents of intolerance.
And I'm positive that Christian conservatives all over America will flock to that banner. They will desert, I hope, the intolerant and wrong-headedness of Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson.
Do you believe that Jerry Falwell is still an agent of intolerance?
No, I don't.
There was a political issue, a local issue, about whether the Confederate flag should fly over the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
You waffled on that.
Yes.
That's not what you believed in your heart.
No.
What did you believe in your heart?
That it was a symbol to many of a very offensive symbol.
Why did you say that?
For ambition.
For ambition?
Sure.
Let's start with your choice of a running mate. Of all the people you could have chosen, of all the Republican leaders you've known for years, straight talk, can you honestly say that Sarah Palin is the best person to put a heartbeat away from the presidency?
I've watched her record, and I've watched her for many, many years.
Let me see if I got the chronology straight, because people are interested in this. As I understand it, you met her for the first time at the governor's conference in
we had breakfast
in February.
Yeah.
You talked to her on the phone last Sunday, and you met with her face-to-face for the first time to discuss the vice presidential pick Thursday morning, and then you offered her the job.
She doesn't think, like Senator Obama does, that Iran is a minor irritant. She knows that the surge worked and succeeded, and she supported that. So she's had 12 years of elected office experience. I'm so proud that she has displayed the kind of judgment, and she has the experience and judgment as an executive. She's run a huge economy up there in the state of Alaska.
But Senator, you talk about her years of experience. 10 of those years were as a city councilwoman and mayor of a town of 9,800 people. And in terms of foreign policy, in March of 2007, 2 months after the surge had started, she was asked about it, and she said, "I've been focused on state government. I haven't focused on the war in Iraq."
And also his campaign itself, an extraordinary organizing effort, an extraordinary executive skill set that he is showing. And so what's the McCain campaign doing? They're attacking Obama, saying he's not a leader, that he doesn't have executive skills.
Kind of your first few days at Harvard Law School, you know, you're nervous. It's a pretty competitive atmosphere. Everybody's supposed to be the best and the brightest. And one thing that made Barack different here was that he was older than most everybody else, because he took time off in between undergrad and grad school. And so he'd already had real life experience. He'd already done a great deal of community service. You know, he worked on the south side of Chicago, and so he really had a sense of why he was here. Well, Barack becoming the first African-American president of Harvard Law Review was received extremely well, with a lot of pride. I think that a lot of people don't understand what the Harvard Law Review is and why it's so important. The reason why Harvard Law Review is so important is the most important legal journal in the world. And what happens is when people are arguing court cases or they're making decisions, they look to the Law Review to make arguments. Barack defied the stereotypes and misperceptions about achievement, about excellence, without question. And there's no question about it that he was the most outstanding student at Harvard Law School, across race, across income level, across gender, across period. He was the top student of our class.
There are ads running from your campaign. One of them is saying Obama was interested in teaching sex education to kindergartners. Now, we know that those ads are untrue. They're lies. And yet you, at the end of it, say, I approve these messages. Do you really approve them?
Actually, they're not lies. And